Hey everybody, welcome back again to another episode of Momentum Motorsports Meeting. My name is Wyatt Thompson. We are on episode number 42. And my oh my, there is a lot of stuff to cover for this week. We've got Trucks Xfinity Cup at the Charlotte Road Course, the final Arca race at Toledo, and then the F1 Singapore Grand Prix. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to it. This is Momentum Motorsports Meeting. Alrighty, so we're going to kind of kick things off here straight away. We're just going to kind of begin here with the truck race at the Charlotte Roval. I think this is the round of 8 opener, I believe. Yeah, round of 8 opener. We're going to go ahead and kind of talk about the winner here. Corey Heim just broke the single season for the most wins in a Truck Series season. Got 10th win, his 10th win of the season. He got taken out on like lap 1, and that didn't even stop him for a second. He was able to pass trucks left and right like it was no big deal, even with the damage. Got a nice timely caution right near the end of the race and was able to get the win. Congratulations to Corey Heim. Corey Heim now advances to the championship 4, so he's got pretty much like 3 whole weeks to prepare for the championship. And right now, I mean, I think he's the championship favorite. He is the one to beat, especially with all of that extra preparation time, other than, unlike most of his other playoff competitors. So congratulations to Corey Heim and Tricon Garage. Let's go ahead and take a look at the notable finishers. Great run for Brent Cruz. Brent Cruz, I want to talk about him. He was very, very fast and was probably the only guy to contend with Corey Heim for the win. Whenever Corey Heim wasn't out front, Brent Cruz was out front. I believe he led the most laps, and if the caution didn't come out for his teammate Tony Breidinger, just slow on the track, like out of fuel, I guess, Brent Cruz would have won this race. I mean, Brent Cruz in that one truck really stood out to me. And I do want to give, that whole team and Brent Cruz a lot of credit and a huge round of applause. And Gio Rogero, Brent Cruz's teammate and Corey Heim's teammate as well. Gio Rogero, he was top 5 all race long. He ends up finishing 3rd. Raja Caruth, a playoff driver, needed a really, really good run and got it. Got a top 5. I've been very, very hard on Raja Caruth recently. Very, very much. I think at Kansas, he was okay. Like the entire round of 10, he was just okay. He did what he needed to do to advance, but he wasn't up front, as much as his playoff contenders. And, that's why I had him, currently out, eliminated in the first round. But I've been very, very hard on him, and, him getting a top 5 at a road course, he's really starting to change my perspective on that 71 team and their performance. So, again, huge round of applause to Raja Caruth there. Josh Bilicki, he ran top 10 pretty much all race and finished 6th. Looked like the best Nice Motorsports truck out there. And if you remember a couple of episodes ago, I announced that my name was going to be on the back of Josh Bilicki's truck. And, I and a lot of other fans got that opportunity, and I was able to put my name on there. So I was like, does that qualify as like sponsoring a car? I feel like it does, right? Because you're putting money to have like your name / like logo or something, or like something you want on the car. I don't know. I'm gonna count it. I'm totally gonna count it. I'm gonna count it as me sponsoring a truck, just getting my name out there. That's what I really want to do. From all these opportunities. It's so cool to see like him get a top 10. That felt pretty cool to me. Technically I sponsored a car and got a top 10 finish. Yeah, that felt pretty good to see on TV. Nice Motorsports overall looked pretty good. Bailey Curry was up in the mix. He finishes 12th, just outside the top 10. And even Andres Perez, who's currently, running for Nice Motorsports for the rest of the year, even he was up there in the mix, up there in the up there in the top 10 for a good amount of this race. So want to give a good shout out to Nice Motorsports. Nice Motorsports has not looked good ever since Caden Honeycutt left. Caden Honeycutt has pretty much been their best driver. Obviously, he was released from Nice Motorsports. He parted ways. He went to Halmer Friesen Racing for the rest of the year. And, now Nice Motorsports pretty much has like Bailey Curry, Matt Mills, and they're just kind of filling drivers in between. So do want to give a huge shout out to Nice Motorsports. Enfinger, Majeski, Ankrum, playoff drivers get top 10s. Daniel Hemrick started all the way in the back. He was another playoff driver, methodically made up spots as he went on. He gets a good run as well. Shout out to his teammate, Connor Mosak, getting a top 10. I feel like it's been a long, long time since he's had that good of a run. I do want to talk about Grant Enfinger, who's one of the playoff drivers. For a veteran driver like Grant Enfinger, he made a lot of mistakes out there. He looked like a rookie, honestly. He made a lot of drivers kind of mad out there. Started out by just severely misjudging where his truck was on turn 1, lap 1, spun out Corey Heim and Lane Riggs, probably the top 2 championship favorites at this point. And then later in the race, he spun out Jake Garcia in turn 7. Turn 7 has been pretty much like a big dive bomb corner. Pretty much as soon as it was introduced, I think like last year. And then on the final lap in turn 7, he spun out Caden Honeycutt from the 5th position. Enfinger, a veteran driver, making mistakes that you normally don't really see. Honeycutt was obviously upset, went to Enfinger after the race to kind of say some words, express his displeasure, and then pretty much just left. But yeah, Enfinger made a lot of mistakes, and I feel like that's just something you don't normally see. Enfinger, when talking to reporters, I will note that he was pretty much saying, yeah, the turn 1 incident, that's pretty much on me. So glad to see he's kind of owning up to it. But man, the other mistakes that he just made, it was very, very weird to see from a veteran driver. Shout out to Will Rogers for Young's Motorsports getting a top 15 finish. Dawson Sutton, he hit a sign on the final chicane and exploded it. I mean, he didn't really explode it, but he hit it in such a way to where it looked like he exploded it, honestly. And wow, I gotta look at that again. How did he finish? He finished 13th. How did he finish 13th out of that? Oh, wow. Okay, wow. They must have had a pretty good truck then. Lane Riggs, with the damage that he suffered on lap 1, he's another big playoff driver. He's probably the second championship driver, the favorite to win the Truck Series championship. He finishes 21st. He had a track bar break. I mean, he did what he could. I mean, doing what he can and finishing 21st, that's not that bad. It could have been a lot worse. I'm sure he's very, very frustrated to what happened to him on lap 1. Matt Crafton, I do want to talk about him. He got turned by Bailey Curry at some point in this race, finished 24th, and then after the race pretty much did word play, confronted Bailey Curry to express his displeasure, kind of used hand gestures to express it. So yeah, a lot of playoff drivers and non-playoff drivers having some beef. And then Ben Rhodes finishing 36th. Want to mention him. Clobbered the tire barrier on lap 2. So the very start of this race was very, very chaotic. And, thankfully it was kind of very eventful pretty much the entire race. But those are your notable finishers. Let's go ahead and take a look at the playoff cut line. I did not think it was going to be this close. Corey Heim, he's already advanced, so he can already start looking towards the championship at Phoenix. But oh my goodness, 2nd through 8th is only separated by 6 points. That is insane. Tyler Ankrum and his teammate Daniel Hemrick are both +2. That's something that I kind of expected. I've seen those two drivers. They've looked better than others. Raja Carruth, if he makes the championship, he's going to make me look like a complete idiot because I currently had Raja Carruth eliminated in the first round. I did not have him going all the way to the round of 8, and I certainly didn't have him going to the championship 4, And if he does, he's going to make me look really, really foolish. He's going to make me look bad. I mean, Talladega is going to be a huge opportunity for Raja Carruth. But Continuing with the playoff cut line, Lane Riggs lost a lot of points. Entered this race 22 points above the cut line. He is now the first guy out, -1. Yikes. Majeski is 2 points out. Enfinger is 4 points out. And Honeycutt is 4 points out. Do want to mention Caden Honeycutt. If he didn't get spun out by Grant Enfinger, he probably would have been above the cut line. Let's see, where did he finish? He finished 13th, and he was running 5th when he got turned. So 8 points. So yeah, he probably would have been 4 points above the cut line, if Enfinger didn't take him out, if Enfinger didn't spin him. But unfortunately, he's only 4 points out. All of this is still unmakeable. It's going to be, that's how close this is. And, Talladega is going to really determine, who stays in and who doesn't. Stage points for Talladega are going to be a must for pretty much everyone. I mean, oh my goodness, I cannot wait for Talladega for the Truck Series. It's going to be a wild battle, and I wouldn't be surprised if some playoff drivers kind of started hanging towards the back, kind of saving their trucks for the end to potentially contend for the win. So, going to be very, very excited. That's the playoff cut line with 2 races left in the round of 8, and I think the 2 races are Talladega and Martinsville. So, a super speedway and a short track. Going to be very, very exciting to see what happens there. I really enjoyed this race. Lots of passing, a big whoa moment, especially on lap 1 where Enfinger just turned the 2 championship favorites. Corey Heim making the comeback of the year, getting to 10 wins, winning the race. Different amount of strategy, lots of driver drama after the race. It was a fun race considering the Truck Series was there for the first time in series history. I really, really enjoyed it. Now we'll go ahead and move on to the Xfinity Series race at the Charlotte Roval. We'll go ahead and kind of talk about the winner briefly. Connor Zilisch got the win. Did we expect anything less? I think he already advanced to the round of 8, I think last week or the week before that. So congratulations to Connor Zilisch and Junior Motorsports. Let's go ahead and take a look at the notable finishers. Austin Green finishes 2nd. That's his 8th top 10 in 19 starts. And not to mention, he won an Arca race at Charlotte Motorspeedway this year on the oval configuration. I want to talk about him. Can we get this guy a full-time ride somewhere? I feel like he's earned it. Austin Green, man, for Jordan Anderson Racing, which isn't the best equipment, that's really, really impressive. Imagine if he was running full-time for Junior Motorsports or for Joe Gibbs Racing or even for RCR. Him, getting his best career finish in the Xfinity Series, that's an unbelievable run no matter which way you look at it. Great run for Kaz Gralla, running that 24 car for Sam Hunt Racing. That's a great run for him. Jeb Burton, William Sawalich getting top 10 finishes. Those 2 drivers are not playoff drivers. Christian Eckes as well, finishing in the top 10. Taylor Gray finishes 13th. He's a playoff driver. Just didn't get as many stage points in this race. Needed to have a good run. Didn't really seem to have the pace. Seemed to struggle for most of the race and ends up being eliminated 1 point out. The first guy out, which means someone below the cut line was able to get in, and that person was Sammy Smith. Came into this race 14 points below the cut line, the last guy out, made up enough points, got points in both Stage 1 and Stage 2, and finished top 5 in the race. What a comeback points deficit. I think the week before, or the race before, he was 28 points out? And he made up 14 there, and then he just made up 15 at the Roval. What a performance from Sammy Smith, man. I didn't have Sammy Smith, getting, moving to the next round, advancing to the next round. But from what I've looked at it, whenever they're in a deficit, and we've seen it right now this year, they find a way to claw back and fight back. And it just kind of gets me wondering that what could this team be if they don't have an issue, in the round of 8 opener? What if they don't have any issues? What if they actually perform like they performed the past couple of weeks? Something to watch for as the rest of the season goes on. Great effort from Sammy Smith. He could make the championship 4. He's won at Talladega before, and Talladega is in this round, so watch out for him. Since we're now moving out of the notable finishers, we'll talk about the rest of the playoff drivers who's also eliminated. Nick Sanchez finishes 9th. just never really had the pace to run well. I was actually high on Nick Sanchez and this 48 team, and they just didn't really show it. I think they got a penalty near the end of Stage 2, so didn't get any stage points in Stage 2, which is a bummer. Sanchez is eliminated. Austin Hill finishes 28th, came into this race 7 points out. Needed a pretty good run, was running in the top 10, when late in the race he had an engine issue, and at that point it's pretty much game over. He was very, very slow, lost multiple positions. He is eliminated, 21 points out. He got disqualified for intentionally wrecking Eric Almirola at Indianapolis earlier this year, and before that incident, he had 21 playoff points to his name, and he is eliminated 20 points out. Wow. So if he had gotten those playoff points, he might have advanced. Well, I don't know if he would have advanced because he seemed to struggle a lot in this round, and he probably might not have gotten the tiebreaker considering some of the other drivers. So either way, a huge storyline. I mean, if he had those playoff points, he advanced. This is a pretty big shock because I had Austin Hill making the Championship 4. He's one of the best drivers in the Xfinity Series. Fantastic on super speedways. Probably dominant on super speedways. I think many fans had him going to the Championship 4, even despite him losing all of those playoff points from Indianapolis. But just one too many bad races in this round, and unfortunately, he's eliminated. I also want to talk about Harrison Burton. Harrison Burton is also eliminated. He's just had so much bad luck this year, especially in this round. Just didn't really have the pace, then had issues out of his control, and is unfortunately eliminated in the first round. So now with 4 drivers eliminated, the points now reset, and 8 drivers are still alive for the title. Let's go ahead and take a look at who's in and who's out real quick. Connor Zilisch is 57 points above the cut line. I think he's okay. Justin Allgaier is in a decent spot, 24 points above the cut line. I still think he makes the Championship 4, but if he has something go wrong, turn 1, lap 1, hey, he could be only like 2 points above the cut line or even worse, below the cut line. So gotta have, I'm a little bit careful on Justin Allgaier, but I still think he makes the Championship 4. I do want to keep an eye out for Brandon Jones at Las Vegas Motorspeedway this upcoming weekend. He's 4 points to the good, but we saw him really contend with Allgaier and Zilisch at Kansas, in the playoffs. So keep an eye out for him. Sam Mayer is 2 points to the good. I like his odds. The 41 team has pretty much been fast pretty much everywhere. I think he's going to be a tough driver to outpoint in this round. So those are the drivers who are in. Taking a look at the drivers below the cut line, Jesse Love is 2 points out. I bet he's already thinking, get that win at Talladega. RCR is just so dominant on super speedways. That's a track that Jesse Love has probably got circled on the calendar for sure. Sammy Smith is 7 points out. Despite that great run, I don't see him making it unless he wins Talladega. Again, Jesse Love, Sammy Smith, they probably got Talladega marked, in this round for sure as to try to advance. Carson Kvapil, 11 points out. I don't see him making up those points and making it to the Championship 4. He's been pretty good on short tracks, so he could win Martinsville, but yeah, I don't know about Las Vegas, and Talladega is just a complete wild card. Like, you have no idea what's going to be happening there. Sheldon Creed is 13 points out. I feel like he could make up that deficit, but I don't see that happening. I think he needs to win Martinsville. That's in this round. Just going to be interesting. I think it all depends on really what happens at Las Vegas Motor Speedway to really kind of get, what everyone's goals are for the next 2 races. So that's the updated playoff cut line. The round of 8, it'll begin at Las Vegas Motor Speedway this upcoming weekend, so can't wait to see what happens there. So that's the Xfinity Series race at the Charlotte Roval. We'll now go ahead and move on to the Cup Series race. There is a lot to talk about. The elimination race for the round of 12, the final lap, the cut line, the notable finishers, the race winner, the 4 drivers eliminated. Where do we even start? Okay. I'm just kind of trying to figure out where to start because there's so much to talk about. Let's go ahead and just kind of start like we've been normally doing. Let's go ahead and start with the winner. Shane Van Gisbergen, SVG, got the win, had to battle hard with Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell, but on the long run speed, it was just unmatched. That's his 5th road course win in a row. Dude is on fire. I think Jeff Gordon has 6 road course wins in a row, and he did that in a completely different car and in a completely different points format, even with a different schedule. And I kind of want to talk about SVG because I think he is probably the best road course racer in NASCAR right now. The dude is on fire. He can win pretty much everywhere in, new configurations like the Chicago street course to old configurations, to configurations that NASCAR has raced for years and years, like Watkins Glen and Sonoma. He probably could have won COTA, too. He probably could have won COTA earlier this year. So congratulations to SVG and Trackhouse Racing. SVG is eliminated from the playoffs, got eliminated a couple weeks ago. If he had made the round of 16, he would be in the round of 8 right now. Just saying, just something to keep in mind about, just because I think, his goal, for the rest of this year is just to continue to improve on the ovals. That's been his one main weakness, and we saw that in the first round. So congratulations to him. Let's talk about the cut line next. The theme, the theme of the night, or of the race, or of the day, let's say, was between Joey Logano and Ross Chastain for the final spot. Chastain was top 10 all race long, got more stage points than Joey Logano, but then made 2 crucial mistakes. The first one was on the exit of pit road, just forgot to turn left, and for some reason, and kind of locked up the tires at the start of stage 2. He was able to overcome it and still drive up to the top 10. But then the second mistake on the final, on like one of the final green flag pit stops, he sped, just grabbed a gear too quickly, and at that point, he already knew that he was speeding. Tried slowing down, but it was obviously too late. And like as soon as he left pit road, you could see his onboard just like banging on the wheels, like, oh, why did I do that? That might have cost me. And even with all of that, he still drove back up to the front. With about 9 laps to go, Chastain was well ahead of Joey Logano, on the leaderboard. And so that was when Joey Logano's crew chief, Paul Wolfe, made the decision to call Joey Logano down pit road for 4 fresh tires. Tires mattered. Tires mattered a lot more than I thought. And, with this gamble, you could say, Joey Logano, with him pitting, Logano would lose multiple spots, which means he lost multiple points on Ross Chastain. Joey Logano, I do want to talk about him. He struggled a lot on the long green flag run, and the rest of this race was going to be a long green flag run. So between that and how much tires mattered, it made sense to try to pit to get enough points on Ross Chastain. And at the time that Joey Logano pitted with 9 laps to go, I thought Chastain was going to follow right behind him. I mean, why wouldn't he pit to not respond to what Joey Logano did? But at that point, the one crew chief, the one team made their bed, told Chastain to pretty much stay out, and that unfortunately that was the turning point. Chastain faded, got passed as the laps counted down. Joey Logano was able to pass other cars, and then we get to the final lap, or the final half a lap, I should say. At this point, Joey Logano was tied with Chastain. Joey Logano would get the tiebreaker with his 4th place finish at New Hampshire a couple weeks ago. Chastain got passed by Denny Hamlin in turn 7. That left him eliminated from the playoffs. And then on the final chicane, on the final corner, on the final lap, sent it, completely overdrove the final chicane to try to pass Hamlin. Made heavy contact with Hamlin. Hamlin and Chastain both spun out. Then kind of after the fact, on the outside wall, Hamlin and Chastain kind of drove it in reverse and crossed the start-finish line backwards. But at that point, it was too late. Joey Logano passed Chastain and Hamlin, which means Joey Logano advances to the round of 8, and Ross Chastain is eliminated. Wow. I mean, a huge gamble from the 22 team. They just don't make mistakes, unlike most of their competitors. Chastain, he made mistakes, and if he didn't make it, he probably would have advanced. But I do want to give a lot of props to Ross Chastain and Trackhouse. And Trackhouse Racing was pretty much fast all around. SVG was winning, obviously, we all know that. But Chastain and even his teammate Daniel Suarez were both in the top 10 pretty much all race long. And the thing that ultimately, bit Ross Chastain in the butt a little bit was he himself just making those two crucial mistakes. And, I could tell that it was going to come down to the final lap on the final corner. It was like as soon as, Chastain kind of made that second mistake, near the end of the race, I was like, oh my, this could literally come down to the final lap on the final corner. And it did. My heart was just absolutely pounding. The points just going back and forth all race long. Like, it literally came down to the final corner on the final lap. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. There are no words to kind of describe the finish of this race. But congratulations to Joey Logano for advancing to the round of 8. Wow, what a gamble. What a gamble. Bubba Wallace, Chastain is eliminated. Bubba Wallace is also eliminated. Bubba Wallace just never really had the pace. Was in the top 15 all race long. That's been like the 23 teams' ceiling on road courses this year. They can only muster top 15, which is still good. Like, compared to years past, it's still way, way better. But obviously, kind of didn't really make up enough points and pretty much needed to win. Tyler Reddick looked like he was going to be a contender. Started on the pole, but to me, it looked like he mixed up his strategy. Like, at first, I thought he was going to go for the race win, but then he didn't. He went for stage points, and then he kind of got mixed up, and, like, it was just like, ooh, like, what? Like, why didn't he try to go for stage points? I think he did get some stage points in, I believe, stage 1, so, but it looked like kind of after that, he started going for the win. I was like, huh? Like, oh, okay. just kind of weird for Tyler Reddick, but Tyler Reddick is also eliminated, and the last driver who was eliminated is Austin Cindric. Man, it just never went his way. His race ultimately ended due to Carson Hocevar pretty much locking up the brakes and on the last corner and pretty much taking him out. That led him to getting a toe link bent and pretty much ended his race. But that is the 4 drivers eliminated: Cindric, Reddick, Bubba Wallace, wow, both 2311 drivers eliminated, and Ross Chastain for Team Trackhouse. Let's take a look at the notable finishers. SVG wins, Larson, Bell just behind him. They were pretty much the top 3 all race long. Shout out to Chris Buescher getting a top 5. His teammate, Ryan Preece, finishes 6th. Michael McDowell for Spire Motorsports gets a top 5. Daniel Suarez, I'll mention him again. He gets a top 10. Very, very impressive for him. AJ Allmendinger gets a top 10 as well. Tyler Reddick finishes 10th. Again, he was the driver below the cut line entering this race. Just didn't get the finish that he wanted. Kyle Busch finishes 34th. Spun out on lap 1. Finished multiple laps down. Can the season end already for Kyle Busch? I mean, gosh, what a shame. What a shame for Kyle Busch. It's been brutal for Kyle Busch. And in a lot of ways, I feel bad for him because Kyle Busch during his Joe Gibbs Racing days was awesome. It was cool. Like, I might not have liked it as a fan, particularly, I was a fan of Joey Logano, so like I didn't really like Kyle Busch winning. And I think a lot of fans don't really like Kyle Busch, especially when he was with Joe Gibbs Racing. But ever since he was at RCR, and especially this year, it's been one struggle of a season. And I feel really, really bad for him, and I really hope that he can contend for 2026. Riley Herbst finished 30th, got DQ'd for failing post-race tech. He got ran into by Ty Dillon and then under caution him and cutting down his own left front tire. Oh, Riley Herbst, what? Oh, no. Riley Herbst, that's not the way you want to do it, buddy. That's not the way you want to do it. Karma bit him pretty hard right there, but those are your notable finishers. Let's take a look at the playoff cut line with 4 more drivers eliminated. Now 8 still remain. Hamlin, Blaney, Larson, Byron. There are ones above the cut line. They aren't even safe right now. None of them have a really good points cushion to say that they are locked in. Bell is the first guy, 4 points out. Elliott is 14 points out. I'm sorry. He doesn't make the championship 4. I don't have Chase Elliott making the championship 4. He could change my mind at Las Vegas. He could win Talladega. He's good at Martinsville, so he's got a decent shot to win it, but I just don't think he's the whole 9 team, while as impressively consistent as they've been, that doesn't get you to the championship 4. Especially in this playoff format. Like, I'm sorry. Chase Briscoe is 14 points out. I also don't think he's going to make it as well. Joey Logano with that epic run on the final, 9 laps of this past race at the Charlotte Roval. Take a look at how you want to take a guess of how many points he's out right now. I'll give you a little bit of time to kind of think. It's not 10. It's not really even 12. It's not really 4. He's not really close to the playoff cut line. He's 24 points out. At that point, you're already thinking must win. And I think he's got a good shot to do it as well. He's really, really good at super speedways, despite, what the finishes say in this next-gen car. And he's good at Martinsville as well. He could win at Martinsville, but he's got to beat Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney is unstoppable at the playoff Martinsville fall race. So he's got a good shot. I don't see Joey Logano advancing either, the defending champ, but I'm not saying I'm going to sleep on him. Do not count Joey Logano and Paul Wolfe out because, they could advance. They could advance based on strategy alone, and if they do, they're one of the favorites to win the title when we get to Phoenix. But personally, I think Bell, Hamlin, Blaney, and Byron will make the championship 4, but we'll see what happens this upcoming weekend at Las Vegas Motorspeedway. I really, really enjoyed this race. Tire fall off was very, very predictable, but I really, really enjoyed it. It made passing possible. Do want to give a huge shout out and applause to Goodyear for delivering another solid soft tire again. Probably the best Roval race in this next gen era. I really, really enjoy it. It was very enjoyable. I just kind of hope, there's been a lot of talks about, do we keep the Roval now or do we go back to the oval configuration? I think with this race, with how good this race was, I'm on board to keep it. I'm on board to keep it for another couple of years if that's what it takes. The oval racing with this next-gen car has been fantastic, and it wouldn't surprise me if NASCAR switched to the oval configuration, in the fall. But the Roval has been pretty much a thing since 2018. 2018 through 2021 has been fantastic. They've been great for elimination races. This race felt like one of those races, those past year races. It was great. Can't wait to see what happens next at Las Vegas Motorspeedway. Now we'll go ahead and move on to the ARCA race at Toledo, the final Arca Menard Main Division Series race. It was good. There's a decent amount to talk about. We'll start with the winner. Max Reeves gets the win, dominates the race. What's to say? The dude is awesome at short tracks. That doesn't mean he had some challengers. Brendan Queen, with about 50 laps to go, was able to get by Max Reeves, kind of move him up the track a little bit, tat him on the bumper, when Max Reeves on the very next corner just pretty much shipped Brendan Queen, essentially locking up the win. Probably not the best move from a 15-year-old, but, he's 15. He's going to learn it eventually, especially when he wants to get to the upper series like the Trucks, Xfinity, and even Cup. He's going to have to learn that, what you're doing right now, that's not going to be acceptable. So hoping he can clean that up. Brendan Queen kind of caught you and passed you clean, fair and square, as, pretty much did the short track move, as clean as you could be. And I don't think it's necessarily a good look when you just ship him, the corner after and not even give him a chance to, battle back. But hey, didn't affect the championship standings. This is just something to watch for when he gets to the big leagues. Congratulations to Max Reeves. Let's go over the notable finishers. Isabella Robusto saw a top 5 finish for her. Her teammates Julian Tacosta, I think that's how you say it, and Taylor Reimer. I apologize if I'm saying those names incorrectly. Her Venturini Motorsports teammates finished just behind her in the top 10. Shout out to Willie Mullins finishing in the top 10 as well. Becca Monopoli, I think that's how you say it. Oh my goodness, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing these names. She gets a top 10 as well. That's a really good run for her. Jason Gitzmiller finishes 9th and ends up 3rd in the standings. Wow, only 8 points ahead of Isabella Robusto. Wow, really solid season for the 97 team. Tony Cosentino, Michael Maples get solid top 15 finishes. LeVar Scott finished 22nd. He was a top 5 car battling Isabella Robusto, trying to sidetrack her on the front stretch to get to the inside. When contact, LeVar Scott goes spinning, clobbers the inside tire barrier wall, ending his day, not not the way he wanted to finish out the year, but still finishes second in the standings. Those are your notable finishers. Overall, this race was pretty good. Good amount of storylines, good amount of racing. This is the last race for Venturini Motorsports, and when we kind of got to that point, I was like, oh, wow, I can't believe it. Like, this is actually Venturini Motorsports race, like final race. This is their final race. Wow. In the Arca Menard Series. That's huge. I can't believe we've made it to there. I mean, I want to shout out Venturini Motorsports, everything they've accomplished, everything they've done for the Arca Menard Series. I will definitely miss them in 2026, but we'll talk about Arca on our Motorsports segment. Stay tuned for that. That's the Arca Menard Series race at Toledo, finishing up that season. We'll now kind of move ahead to the F1 Singapore Grand Prix. I want to go ahead and start with the winner. George Russell for Mercedes dominates the race, gets the win. Mercedes' second win of the season. Got their first back in Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix. Kind of felt like the Canadian Grand Prix, kind of like a copy and paste. Big win for Mercedes, for George Russell. I feel like this is creating bigger expectations for Kimi Antonelli for next year, but congratulations to George Russell and Mercedes. Let's go over these notable finishers. Verstappen outpoints Lando Norris and Piastri. We'll take a look at the Drivers' Championship standings in a moment, but I previously didn't count Verstappen in for the driver's title, but now I don't think he's out of it yet. Lando Norris finishes ahead of Piastri, so gains some more points on Piastri in the Drivers' Championship. Again, we'll look at that in a moment. Kimi Antonelli, solid top 5 finish, solid result. A couple of Ferrari drivers just behind him in the top 10. Shout out to Carlos Sainz, starting from the back along with his teammate. Those two drivers for Williams were both DQ'd for like the illegal rear wing. Sainz was able to get back up to 10th, so not bad, all things considered. Oliver Behrman gets points as well, gets a 10th place finish. He hasn't scored points in about a month, so that's that's much needed for him, I bet. Those are your notable finishers. It's pretty quick, but those are your notable finishers. Taking a look at the standings, the driver standings first, Piastri only has a 22-point lead to Lando Norris with 6 races left. So if Lando Norris can kind of keep chipping away at it like he's been doing and really start to kind of gain some more points on Piastri on like the sprint weekends, I feel like he could get there. I feel like he could definitely win the Drivers' Championship. It's definitely not out of the cards yet with 6 races left. Like, that's still a long ways away for when we get to the end of the season. I had Verstappen out of it, but he's only 63 points out with 6 races left. I think Verstappen has a shot at it still, but he needs a lot of help, and I mean a lot of it. So can't really wait to see. It's going to be interesting to see what happens at Circuit of the Americas in a week and a half from now. But that's the Drivers' Championship. Taking a look at the Constructors' Championship, McLaren, they've already clinched it. Did we expect anything less? Mercedes with that win and Antonelli finishing in 5th. They've now increased their points lead, holding on to 2nd ahead of Red Bull Racing, and Ferrari up 27 points ahead of Ferrari, who holds on to 3rd. Ferrari is only up by 8 points ahead of Red Bull Racing, so I feel like it's still anyone's game on who takes 2nd in the Constructors' Championship. Williams is in 5th. I don't think they'll drop any further from my point of view. This is a really good battle for 6th right here, between Racing Bulls and Aston Martin. That's going to be very, very interesting to see who comes out on top. Personally, I see Racing Bulls getting that 6th spot in the Constructors' Championship instead of Aston Martin. I think the Racing Bulls have such a great driver lineup, and they've been really developing well this year. So I have Racing Bulls kind of outpointing Aston Martin for the rest of the year. So that's pretty much the Constructors' Championship. Overall, this race was good. Not too much passing, but Circuit of the Americas is in like a week and a half, and there's going to be a lot of passing there, I bet. So that is all of the race reviews. We'll kind of go ahead and kick off our Motorsports segment. Let's go ahead and start off with some driver news. Ryan Vargas is going monster truck racing. Wow. Huh? Like what? Let me see that again. Okay, it says Ryan Vargas. Okay, yeah, it says Ryan Vargas is going truck racing. are going monster truck racing, not truck racing. What am I talking about? That's very, very cool. How cool is that? Went from like NASCAR, Xfinity Series, stock car racing. Then I think went to NASCAR Euro racing, I think this year. And now he's going monster truck racing. Like, it kind of feels like the dude is actually having fun. And I really, really like it. I like drivers to kind of participate in different series. I wish more drivers, kind of got to do that, more often. Wishing Ryan Vargas the best of luck. Next up, according to Todd Spangler on a Variety.com article, NBC Universal and YouTube TV have re-signed their deal that keeps channels on the streaming service for a few more years. There was a message like last week that you might not be able to watch certain channels like the USA Network, which broadcasts NASCAR races. Now, you don't even have to worry about it. You'll be able to watch NASCAR races on the USA Network for at least a few more years. NBC Universal also announced that they will bring back NBCSN later this fall. A huge deal, considering NBCSN shut down at the end of 2021. I think this is really cool news. It's amazing to see NBCSN back and relaunch. My only question is, how will it be utilized? I think this is going to be great for promoting big sporting events like NASCAR and, probably even college football too, since NBC kind of takes part in that a little bit. And, I hope that NASCAR can kind of use that to their advantage. I just thought it was cool because, I know that a good amount of fans that have cable use YouTube TV, and now you don't even have to worry. Next up, AO Racing, a WeatherTech IMSA team that fields the nickname cars called Spike and Rexy, could potentially enter in some IndyCar races and some NASCAR races. According to Adam Stern, Chief Commercial Officer Brian McKinley told Sports Business Journal that they are considering entering other forms of racing in the coming years, including NASCAR and IndyCar. Pretty cool news. It makes me kind of wonder what they will do and when they will do it. Now, I will note that Adam Stern reported that Brian McKinley formerly worked at Stewart-Haas Racing. Stewart-Haas Racing, SHR, a powerhouse NASCAR team for many, many years. They've obviously scaled down their operation this year. So it kind of makes you wonder, what series are they going to run first? And when will they run it? Personally, I think they'll do some NASCAR races maybe in 2027. I think that's realistic for me at least. I don't see them running in any open wheel series. I think the goal is less realistic than AO Racing running some NASCAR races, in my opinion. But it's still very cool to see that they are expanding and considering running some other series and some like part-time races and stuff. Also, side note, I really love their skeleton livery on a Porsche 911 GT3 called Rexy the Dinosaur and an LMP2 named Spike the Dragon for this upcoming weekend. I really, really like those skeleton livery paint schemes. I really love that. Next up, some F1 news regarding Cadillac, the new F1 team. They've got 3 new sim drivers. Those 3 drivers are Simon Pagenaud, Pietro Fittipaldi, and Charlie Eastwood. I think the biggest storyline of this is Simon Pagenaud, an IndyCar legend, an IndyCar champion who's won the Indy 500 like, 4, 5 times now, maybe even 6. I feel like Simon is going to provide a lot of suggestions and a good amount of feedback and is going to really help out Cadillac. And I think Pietro Fittipaldi can as well. He ran IndyCar full-time last year. He's now running the WeatherTech IMSA series this year for part-time races. He's got the most recent IndyCar experience. For Charlie Eastwood, I haven't, researched much about him. I think he can also make a pretty big impact for Cadillac as well. I think all 3 of these drivers will make a big impact for Cadillac, and I think that'll really help out Cadillac a lot. It's a nice lineup. Nice mix, a veteran of Simon Pagenaud, a young driver like Pietro Fittipaldi. Kind of a nice little mix-up between the 2. I really, really like it, and I can't wait to see what Cadillac cooks up for next year. And since we're on that open wheel topic, I kind of want to go ahead and go over the private IndyCar test results from Mid-Ohio. I just kind of wanted to go over the results. Felipe Nasser drove for Team Penske. He runs in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Cars Championship for Porsche Penske Motorsport. Drove the number 2, was on the top of the board. Ko Colette, I apologize if I'm not saying that correctly, for AJ Foyt Racing was the second fastest. It's actually believed that he's going to be David Malukas' replacement for 2026, according to Marshall Pruitt. So very, very interesting there. This text might suggest that. Dale Corn Racing, has signed Dennis Hogger, and they took part of that test. They were third. Chip Ganassi Racing NXT drivers Niels Coolin was fourth, and Kakunoshin, or Kakun for short, Ota. I apologize if I'm not saying this correctly. I very, very do sincerely apologize if I'm mispronouncing someone's name. For Meyer Shank Racing, he was fifth. Just kind of wanted to talk about that test because, IndyCar is now in their off season, and all they're worried about is just more tests for 2026. So just wanted to talk a little bit of IndyCar news. Next up is some NASCAR news. We'll start with Richard Childress Racing. Two pieces of news that I want to talk about. The first one is with Randall Burnett. He's currently with Kyle Busch, and RCR announced that Randall Burnett will part ways with RCR. Randall Burnett is obviously joining Connor Zilisch for next season. Not too surprising at all. Andy Street will step in as the crew chief for the number 8 team with driver Kyle Busch. Not sure if this is going to be like a temporary replacement or, maybe Andy Street will be Kyle Busch's crew chief for next year, or maybe there's another crew chief RCR is looking at going after. Either way, wishing Andy Street the best of luck for the rest of the year. And then the second piece of news, there was a rumor that Richard Childress Racing was leaving the team and retiring. And then, the RCR account kind of saw that and basically said, this is not true. Richard Childress is not planning to retire following the end of the season. Just something that I kind of wanted to tie in, with Richard Childress, considering that they made an announcement that Randall Burnett will not be with the team for the rest of the year. So that's some of the NASCAR news. Now going on to some Arca Menard Series news. First off, the first bit is the 2026 Arca Menard Series schedule. They've been released. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. All races will be broadcasted on Fox Sports channels. Daytona, the season opener, going to be on main cable free Fox. That's very, very huge. This was also the case this year as well. Everything else is going to be on FS1 and FS2. Ultimately, not too much is changing schedule-wise. Arca Menard Series is returning to Lime Rock Park. I really, really enjoyed that race. Kansas Speedway is now the Arca Menard Series finale. Toledo, which was the finale this year, it's now the 6th race of the season for 2026. So very, very interesting that they moved Toledo back a lot, like 5-6 months back. Very interesting, but I have no complaints personally. And then the Arca Menard Series, like I mentioned a few episodes ago, they're racing at Pocono and Chicagoland. All in all, not too much change. I really do like the schedule. The next piece of Arca Menard Series news is regarding Toledo Speedway. So in the drivers' meeting at Toledo, the president of Arca, Ron Drager, I apologize if I'm not saying his name correctly, kind of thanked Venturini Motorsports and Rev Racing for the years of commitment to the series, according to Joseph Swigley. This is a post that I'm just kind of reading off. And according to Joseph Swigley, he kind of reported on that same post that, neither Venturini Motorsports nor Rev Racing are expected to field an entry in the series for next year. Venturini Motorsports is selling to Nitro Motorsports. That's something that most fans expected. That's been announced a long, long time ago. But Rev Racing is the team that I wanted to talk about because that's something that I wasn't even expecting, and that's a big surprise, even for me. I thought they would continue racing in the Arca Menard Series, like maybe continue development of their drivers like Laney Bice, maybe help LeVar Scott move up to the upper series like the Truck Series, but apparently not. That's not been the case. I haven't really heard from them at all, like what their plans are for next year. It's possible that, funding and sponsors backed out, and, they might even be shutting down. But either way, if they don't return to the Arca Menard Series for next year, that's going to be sad, because they've raced in the Arca Menard Series for quite a while now. Definitely not as long as Venturini Motorsports, but still a decent amount of time. But it's shocking, because those two, I feel like that team is has been like, a good challenge for some of the smaller teams like Tyler Reif. You know what I mean? Driving for like his own organization, doing everything he can to be competitive, and like Rev Racing is kind of like their one step of the staircase, to try to overcome. I hope that somewhat makes sense. But hopefully everything is okay with Rev Racing, and hoping they can return to Arca in 2026. If they don't, it's been great watching them. LeVar Scott and Andres Perez, it's been great, fun, enjoyable watching those two drivers, hopefully develop and potentially move to the Cup Series. It's been a fun ride for Rev Racing for sure. And that is it. We will be back next week. We've got the Cup Xfinity Series at Las Vegas Motorspeedway for the Round of 8 opener, and then the Arca West Series still isn't over. Got the bull ring at Las Vegas Motorspeedway. I will see you guys later. Have a great day, everybody. Take care, y'all.